Welcome, Underhive scumbags, to episode 8 of Chronicles from the Underhive, a Necromunda and Post Apocalyptic podcast. I'm Tom.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Aaron.
Hey, and today we have a mega episode with both fans, Saar and bounty hunters. And today is our special In Our House episode.
Yeah.
Where every single one of us is in our own houses and we're trying out Audacity and Discord for the first time. And it's been a bit of a pig.
It's been
It's been a bit long.
We've
been trying for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and then we finally decided to give up and listen to what Sam had said from the Adeptus Terra podcast, and we're going to have to just record all of our things singularly, and Aaron's going to jam them together.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be the only way, because it doesn't seem to let us all record on one PC, so yeah, we'll all have to record our own pieces and get it all together. But let's see how this works, and we'll go from there.
It made me panic for a second because I've just realised that I was like, oh my god, I can't see any of Aaron's talking, and then I just realised it's because it's only recording my talking. I thought because I'm so used to looking over at our soundboard and making sure that the thing's recording.
Yeah, as long as we've got the thing on listen mode and we're watching our levels go up and down, we'll be fine.
Mr. Michael.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Honest. It's all a bit weird.
We've been talking about his microphone having to dangle in front of his face so he can hear him properly.
That's not just a microphone.
Okay, so we can get... we can start with the actual show today. So we can start with the Versatile Terrain competition. So we got a winner. We've announced him on the Facebook group already, Andy Rayner. So he's won the 12 customised name bases. And I've been informed that they're going to adorn his Van Saar models once they're completed.
Oh, brilliant.
So,
nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations. So he'll just speak to Keith separately. And once he's decided the names and everything, then off they go.
Cool.
So well done, Mr. Andy.
Nice one.
And as normal, please come join us on the Facebook group if you haven't done so. Also, the Instagram of Necromunda Tom. And thank you for all the iTunes reviews. We have been having a look at some of them recently. I know I've been looking at the UK ones on the iTunes thing, and I think, Aaron, you might have found one for a different country.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I think I just put in our podcast name, and
you Googled yourself essentially, haven't you?
I Googled myself, and we came up on. I forgot what the site was, but it was like loads of reviews.
Sexypodcasters.com.
What was that?
Was it not?
I don't know.
Sexypodcasters.com.
Oh, Sexy Podcast. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was that one. And it was nice. All 5 stars, or maybe 4.5. Something about sound quality.
Oh God, they're going to love this episode.
That's going to take a bit of a dip, isn't it?
Well, this is just a teething episode, so we'll see how we get through.
Yeah.
And also I forgot to discuss the Redbubble account. So we've got some bits and pieces that can be purchased, and then that will go into our recording equipment, strangely enough. So we'll be able to get some, if we are able to raise any money at all, then it would allow us to buy the microphones and bits and pieces. Because I'm using a webcam microphone, and I can't imagine it's the best recording equipment.
That's what it's come down to. I'm using like a one earphone headset gaming thing,
and I'm just using some trash.
Yeah,
I cobbled together from bits of string and an old plastic cup.
He's using a can.
Talking for a tin can into a speaker. Okay, so if you are able to purchase stuff, that's great. But the money will go towards our recording equipment for the future, just so.
Or just send us like loads of cash.
Loads of cash is probably a bit much.
Yeah.
Send it to Tom at Tom's house. Tomfordshire.
The middle of my street.
I spend most of my nights in the Pleasure Dome, so just stick Pleasure Dome on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll find its way.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Father Christmas, isn't it? And the North Pole.
Yeah, exactly. It won't come down the chimney. It'll come. I don't know where it'll come out of.
No, stop.
It'll come sliding down the pole.
Yeah.
To Everybody Dance now.
Yeah.
It's your ringtone. I'm going to change your ringtone to Everybody Dance now, whatever that song is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's essentially the welcome. So we're going to pause for a second and see how we can pause it and then get a song in between, and then we'll move into what we've been up to. So we'll speak to you soon. Welcome back to the next part, which is what we've been up to. So, does anyone else want to go first in what they've been up to this month?
I'll go first, get it over and done with.
Sweet.
So, so me, I've not been up to very much, really. Well, I've been doing lots of stuff that's not Necromunda based. So, let's start with all of that first. I've been doing some more rebasing for Age of Sigmar, because there's a big buzz about that. There's another edition coming along. I've been working on some 1-to-1 scale gaslands, basically restoring an old card I've got. I've had it for over a year now and I haven't done anything, so it's about time I did some work on that. So I've been getting down and dirty in the garage. I've generally been failing at Blood Bowl. I've downloaded Blood Bowl 2 online and I can't work out how to use a damn thing. I'm just hopeless with computers, so I've kind of given up on that for the moment, and I will come back to it. So, out of frustration, I decided to play myself at Blood Bowl, since the wife was the wife was ill on the sofa. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get the Blood Bowl out and I'll play by myself, and I still lost. That was quite.
When you play with yourself, you always lose.
Yeah, exactly.
It certainly felt like losing. So what I did then, to try and cheer myself up, I actually ordered the retail therapy.
Play some more.
Yeah. That's not quite how it works. I ordered the Delta 7 tiles for Necromunda, so it's like a set of extra additional tiles. So the rules for that are in Gang War 2.
2, yeah.
So they'll come in a post at some point.
Awesome. And how much was that, and where did you get it from?
I think it was about £20, and I've got it from Gifts for Geeks.
Gifts for Geeks.
They tend to have ages.
Yeah, they tend to have some of the Games Workshop stuff with random discounts and stuff, like
Yeah.
over and above what you might get somewhere else, which is quite handy. They don't have it all the time, and it might just be for something relatively random. But you never know, it might be what you want.
Nice.
What else did we do? I have got a game arranged for in a couple of days' time. I'm going around my gaming buddy's house, going around for drinks and beer, which is also a drink. So we're going to play some Necromunda there, which will be something to talk about in the next show.
Cool.
Other than that, that's pretty much me.
Sweet. What about you, Mr. Aaron?
What have I been? Well, I was on the last episode, so.
Oh yeah, of course you were.
Yeah.
You got 2 months worth of stuff to talk about.
I know. I've got 2 months worth of stuff. What have I got? Salute. So what did I get from Salute? Oh yeah, I got there's what's it called? The Zinj.
Yeah, Zinj. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a cool little area, and I grabbed some. They had some stuff for like £1, like little grab bags.
Yeah.
And I grabbed like a few little bits of bobs from those guys, and they were really cheap. I think they were only like £1, and they came with just miscasts. So it was like wheels and casings and bullet belts, and yeah, the bags were quite packed actually. I was quite surprised. And yeah, they were only £1, so I end up using them in my on my bases.
I didn't get any of them, boo.
Yeah, I remember me telling you at the pub, and then we were gonna go back, but obviously they
we got there too late,
closed up.
didn't we?
Yeah, so I think that was my best buy. What else did Oh yeah, some skulls from Green Stuff World. They were a little bit expensive, but I think there was like 50 odds. Maybe more skulls.
I've got a bag of them in front of me.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good. Really well cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think they're about £15 for a box of them, but they usually last me like the whole year.
Unless you're doing.
So I end up putting like Oh yeah, all the skulls. I usually end up putting maybe 1 or 3 on a base. I do. I bought some Scarecrow paints. I've always wanted to try out their paints, and yeah, I'm a bit of a paint freak, so I bought some of those just to give them a whirl, and also some AK paints.
Okay.
They do some really good sort of tan, kind of fleshy kind of colours, so I bought them to try on my Goliaths. And yeah, they're pretty hard to get hold of, and I was surprised that I found them there. You can get them online and stuff, but yeah, they were there, so I bought them. And I bought some stuff for my airbrush, so I bought some like little, they're not cotton, they're not little buds, but they're kind of a little bit smaller, they're like little, like toothpicks with like a little sponge on the end, and that gets into all the little
Crevices.
bits, yeah, all the crevices on your airbrush, and yeah, they worked a charm. I was digging out old paint, and it really kind of helped the flow of my airbrush.
Nice.
Oh, what are those guys called? Is it Troll
Trader.
Is it Troll Trader?
Yeah, there's Troll Trader there.
Is that the one with the guys that usually have like the big bins full
Yeah,
of
they used to.
stuff? Yeah, so their section wasn't as sort of packed as last year, but they still had some bases on offer. I picked up some Nid ones for like a couple, maybe about £2 for like a bag of 10 bases. So that was pretty good, and I think that was it. It was mostly hobby stuff. I didn't buy any models or anything because I've got way too much plastic already, and I'm moving house as well, so I didn't want to pick up. Yeah, I didn't want to pick up anything that I'm gonna have to take over there as well. So I think that was it, and I picked up Gang War 3 not so long ago.
Yeah.
That's a really good book.
Yes.
I think
proper beefy, isn't it?
it's really well written, and you know, it's put together really well. Everything's in the right place now, and and it's a big old fat book.
Yeah, it's definitely substantial.
Yeah. And that was me really.
Cool.
Just, I haven't done hardly any hobby stuff. I bought a flat, and it's all been about that, and that's about it.
Oh man, it's a mission.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's me then. So you just reminded me, I'm not sure if I spoke about it last episode, but I bought some flesh paints as well, but I bought the Scale 75 set. So I've got them ready to use as part of the stuff. And I've got those Broken Toad brushes I know you recommended.
Yeah, they're really good.
And I've got
I think they're my favourite brushes. Yeah.
It was a bit of a pig to find them. Eventually I could get them from the site, but yeah, it was difficult.
It's a bit odd because when I ordered them off the site, it's a bit like hidden away.
Yeah, it's definitely hidden. But I got the soap from them too, so hopefully should not destroy my brushes.
Yeah.
And I've finally moved house, and I've completed the hobby room finally. So I'm
That's
in it.
awesome.
I'm in it at the second.
I'm well jealous.
Oh, it's amazing. It's everything I wanted it to be. It's sitting in here, surrounded by MDF storage devices.
You get the grey plastic you dropped from your grey carpet.
Yeah, I haven't dropped anything yet, thankfully. I've got an airbrush set up and and like a ventilator thing, so I can suck all of the stuff out the window. Oh, it's awesome.
Have you got a defibrillator to get yourself going again after you get the bill coming for your credit card?
Oh no, it's all dealt with, thankfully. It's all been done. So now I've got Sunday where I've got a bit of opportunity to actually get some painting done, so I'm going to chuck a load of paint in the airbrush, hope it works, and have a go at the terrain. So I'm going to finish the Promethean Forge stuff off, and I will have a go at the 3D printed terrain from Mike.
Nice.
So hopefully I can then get all the terrain. Well, then I'll have to go and start undercoating the stuff that actually came in the box set, because that still needs doing.
Yeah.
So
I think once I've moved as well and sorted everything out on my end, I'll be able to grab that stuff off you if I ever see you again. You're all the way up in
Oh, I
Nomads,
think I've
man.
painted all of that now. That was
Oh,
the MDF stuff. So I've done all the basic colours and all of them now. And
I don't understand where you get time. That's you must live in like some new time zone, or I don't know how you get time.
well,
It's,
now I've moved, and now my work's much further away. It is a lot more difficult to find time.
yeah,
But like I say, Sunday's actually going to be my first day of hobbying since I got in.
nice.
Apart from cutting the dog bounty hunter up a bit, but I can discuss that.
Yeah, that
further
looks
on.
awesome, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I found that was at the Games Expo, which is the other thing I'm actually going to talk about. So last weekend I went to the Games Expo in Birmingham. It's huge. I mean, compared to Salute, it's massive. But it's like
It's bigger than
yeah, it's in the Birmingham NEC.
It's all about games, though, isn't it? It's all
Yeah.
about playing games and stuff rather than the trade bit.
And that's the thing that I struck because I went on my own. You need someone there, I think, to come with you so you can keep trying out all the different games and stuff. Because Michael's right, it is just the first floor is just all of the people selling games, and there was TT Combat there selling some MDF stuff, but there wasn't huge amounts of. There were some companies selling their bits like Rumble Slam and Wild West Exodus and stuff were selling their game and selling bits, but then there was another hall which had just people selling, just because it was not just board games, it's about the cosplay and all of that sort of stuff that was there too. Tournaments were there, so I think if I had a plan to attend a tournament and I came with some friends, then easily I could fill up a day or two just going around trying all the games and all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't enough for just me. I think I was only there for half a day in the end because I could only see so much stuff, and then because I wasn't playing anything, if I did play a game, I'd have probably been there for another 2 hours or 3 hours because the game would have taken that long. But because I didn't play, it just, I'd been around everything. So, but Birmingham isn't that far from where I live now, so it wasn't a huge deal.
Yeah, when I used to live in Leamington Spa, I used to go to Comic Con all the time because it was 15-20 minutes away.
Yeah, it's not huge.
I used to just pop, but those halls are big.
Yeah, I mean it was huge, like I say, but I still prefer the Salute sort of thing where you've got paintbrushes and this and that rather than just the board games. I mean, people, like, there were companies there who had just started their own board game, blah blah blah, and they were trying to get you to come and have a look and all this sort of stuff. But and there was Gaslands was there at one point, but they weren't demoing the game in the like come and play it sort of way. They were in the showroomy bit up near the tournaments where this is our game and you could chat to the developers, but you couldn't actually try a test game sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they were busy when I was going past, and I thought, I can't be bothered to hang around. There was a buy and sell place as well, which seemed quite cool.
Oh, nice.
Where you could.
Did they have any GW stuff?
Well, I couldn't really be asked to queue because the selling bit was quite. So basically, you register the stuff beforehand, and then you drop it off, and then they sell it for you, and then you get the money back after. So that queue was quite quick, but the queue to go in to buy was fairly substantial, and it stayed substantial for the whole time. So I didn't. But I've got all the stuff I need currently. I've got my Van Saar models. I've got my Bounty Hunter models. I've got everything. I've got my Custode stuff that I still need to finish. I've got the terrain. So I just thought there's no need me buying any more stuff. I've already got a stack.
You're so well disciplined.
Yeah. I think my issue was more the buying stuff that's not the models, like the paints and the brushes and the MDF terrain and all the little bits that come along with it. That's normally where I struggle. I have a bit more control with the models. I just have less control with all the extra stuff that comes with it.
all like the little paints and
Yeah,
pots and
and,
all those little
and
bits.
tools. I've got like
I think that's
drills, and I've got the scraping tools for my green stuff. I've got ball bearings to go into paints that allow the shaking. I've got lots of different weathering and terrain basing stuff. It's
I
just
think I must be the polar opposite of that. I think because I've got all the models and I'm still using paints from Games Workshop that are nearly 30 years old.
You know what? I found some really old paints with the flip lids, and I only chucked them away recently, but they still held their, you know, it was still liquid.
nice.
Yeah.
There's no need to chuck them then.
No, that's it.
But you know what? I can't replicate the colours anymore. They've all changed. So I was like, you know what? It's hard to say bye. It's like an old friend that's been just kind of sitting around.
But the
I
rate,
can't bring myself to throw mine away.
but the rate you paint them, like the new colour would have come in by the second model anyway. So there'd be a new paint range and everything.
Yeah, but now, bloody paints, you leave them open for, you know, an hour and the whole thing's gone. It's dried.
Boo.
Boo.
There's an answer to that. Don't leave them open for an hour.
Yeah, I'm really bad sometimes. I'll work off the actual. If I'm being a bit lazy, I'll work out of the pot.
You're what, out of the pot, sorry?
Work out of the pot.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I see what you mean. So you won't use a palette or anything.
No, I actually dip my brush into the pot.
Oh, okay.
Is this a euphemism?
Not the whole thing though, just the tip.
Just the tip.
Stop.
Just to test it out.
I can put an E on it at the end, it's fine. Okay, so that's essentially what we've been up to then. So I know that this month is going to be the month where I start destroying the terrain and really get going. So this month was just moving house and setting up my room how I wanted it, but next month's definitely going to be the month where I start actually having a good go at the terrain, and then I'll break up in between by doing the bounty hunters, I think. But we can now go on to confirm news, I think, if we've all done what we've been up to. Okay, welcome to Confirm News, everyone. We have all obviously got our Gang War 3 books,
Yep.
and we've been looking at all the amazing stuff in there. Stuff that's come out just recently, Van Saar have now got their weapons upgrades, so they've now caught up with all the others. So each of the 4 houses that are out also have their weapons upgrades. Oh no, actually, no, tell a lie. Van Saar's one isn't out yet, is it? I think I've just seen the pictures. I'll have to check that.
I think we've seen pictures. They're not out yet.
I think you're right.
I think, is it Escher?
Escher, got Goliath and Orlox are up and out.
Yeah.
But I've seen the Van Saar stuff. It looks pretty cool. They've got a
Yeah.
plasma
I really
cannon.
like. You know what? At first, I didn't like the Van Saar models, but I really like them now.
Yeah.
I think I've grown to like them. The only thing that I don't like about them is the dude with the beard and the hair. He looks like a geezer.
Dude with the beard and the hair.
It could have been worse.
You know
it could have been the bearded ladies.
The man with the face. I'm going to just put Van Saar, man with beard and hair, and see what comes out. Right, I'm looking at the images of the Van Saar. Okay. Oh, you mean the guy who's holding the stave?
He looks like he belongs in Shoreditch.
He does look a bit hipstery, but then they were all supposed to have the bit. Well, kind of have the beards.
I know. You know what? Some of the ones in the book, the drawn ones, they're really cool. They look, ace. They've got a little bit of a scar and like the short cropped hair and the sort of stubble. And I don't think that translates as well into the models.
I reckon you can. I mean, I've always liked scarring up a model, so I'd rush run a model knife down their eye to cause a little gouge.
Yeah, it could do. Yeah.
So it's doable if you want to add a scar. Oops, I've just
I
moved
tend to do
myself
that
away
sort
from the
of thing by
microphone.
accident. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. What,
If
give
the water
yourself a
slips-
scar?
Yeah. There goes another fingernail.
Yeah, accidentally cut your thumb. Oh, I haven't cut my hand in ages. It's quite nice. Not cutting my thumb, I mean it's quite nice not to have cut my thumb.
Yeah.
Tom self-harming.
Yeah. Why can't I cut this straight? And then there's a Ford World Specialist event in July, but the tickets are all sold out. Because I was actually thinking of trying to go, but yeah, the tickets are gone, sadly. So that's it, I think, essentially. I don't know if there's much else that's due to come out very shortly. It might be the month after. I know they've literally just before this dropped the Van Saar and the Gang War 3 and everything
Wait a
else.
minute, what was on the group? It just came out this week. It was Cordor, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the images.
Yeah. Oh, they look awesome.
Yeah, they do look really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well
they look
remembered.
really nice. Yeah, I like the big. Is it like a big crossbow?
Yeah, looks like they're firing a grenade launcher bow or something.
Yeah, I think the models are getting better and better. They're really nice.
I've just put Cordor and got a castle instead of. Right, let's try again. There we go. It's just the old stuff. Yeah, no, they look really cool, and it looks a bit less. I always thought that the Cordor and the Redemptionists looked very similar.
Quite kind of similar, yeah.
Whereas these look a lot more run down. They're kind of like slightly more like cultists than they used to be. So they look slightly more rustic and run down, and their guns are just like guns attached to a stick with a hook attached to them, sort of thing. So they've got much more of a run down sort of feel to them.
I wonder how much
What
that
is-
is down to the like the paint choices as well. Because you get that with a lot of models. Sometimes you see a brand new set of models and you're not that inspired by them, or
Yeah.
or they're nothing like they used to be, or whatever else.
I think no, I mean
and that's just because of the factory paint job. And then not that the paint job is bad. It's just the choice of colours that the studio has chosen might not be to your idea of what the game should be. But by the time people have got them in their hands and they start doing their own colour schemes and stuff, you can start seeing the potential of the models.
I think it was that like in these ones, it wasn't an issue. I mean, in these ones, they look like they look a lot more bandaged. Like their feet are exposed, so that they've got a shoe missing. A lot of their clothes have holes in them, whereas before they looked a lot more like they were closed properly. And then if you say had a Cordor model that wasn't unpainted next to a Redemptionist model that wasn't one of the main characters, like the hair on fire or anything, they kind of had the same aesthetic, whereas now they look a little bit more run down, which I think looks quite cool. And like their guns are strapped, so like you can see where the blade has been tied up with a bandage against the auto gun, whereas before it was a lot more clean and the weapons looked exactly like any other gang, whereas now they look definitely a lot more kind of rusticy, farmy sort of. And I think it looks quite cool. I mean, it's not an issue, it looks different, but then they're all looking slightly different. The Van Saar look different now than they used to.
No, I really like them. They've got this kind of medieval look about them. Like they're all kind of squires, and they should be, I don't know. Like one guy's got the old ball and chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're cool.
What do you reckon, Michael?
Yeah, I haven't really looked at them that much, to be fair. I've been trying to avoid a lot of the rumour stuff, and I'll just wait until it actually comes out, and then I'll let it wash over me.
Yeah. Oh look, there's one guy without a shoe. He's like lost it.
He's going to be the one that stands on a nail. Michael, I'm going to send the picture
I'll
in.
find that.
I'll send you the picture in the messenger thingy now.
Oh, thank you.
This is the official picture, so it's not like a blurry sort of fake sort
It's gonna
of
be
thing.
just a naked picture.
Yeah, it's going to be one of my dick pics.
Tom, you've got blue pants on.
Yeah.
How attractive.
Makes a change. I must have sent the wrong picture.
Makes a change from
Having no
wearing
pants.
none.
Yep. I've got the picture. Isn't that the power of the internet? Isn't it marvellous?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Now we just
Yeah,
got...
I think it's just the initially it was just like the blue, because I'm sure what was the other game that looked like it had a lot of blue in it. The Caldor ones, it may have a lot of blue in them.
Yeah, the blue was fine. It was just the style, the clothes style was very similar in the old ones.
Yeah, but obviously this is completely different in that respect. It's
Yeah.
much more ragtag and stuff. So yeah,
And
I'm alright with them. They look fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think they're going to be more of a. There's in this game you're supposed to kind of have a few more characters. It's more like your style, like more dudes, less guns sort of thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of very sort of improvised weaponry, isn't it? Really? The way, like you said, things are just lashed together. So, it'd be interesting to see what the rules are when they come out.
Yeah, so well remembered, Darren. I completely forgot.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
But then there's more brutes and bits and pieces that have been discussed in Gang War 3, so I'm guessing they'll have models released at some point too. And the pets, I know the pets have already been made, but they should be coming out at some point as well, because they're all in Gang War 3.
Yeah, you had the Ogrin model. I don't know if that's... Yeah, there was an Ogrin, and then the insectoid robot.
Yeah, it looks
thing.
mental.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's looking pretty good for stuff that's going to be coming out in the future.
I'm guessing that with the release of Age of Sigmar 2, that's going to be their main focus from a selling perspective, that they're going to want to keep the interest in the other systems. So perhaps it's going to be a little while before we get the new
Why are they
game.
releasing this? I thought this Age of Sigmar was like the perfect game.
Well,
Yeah.
they're just re-releasing it, aren't they? Just to bump up the sales and ramp
I
it all
guess
up
with
again.
all the what are they called? The battle tomes or or scrolls or just updating it all.
Yeah, I think it's just refreshing. It's been out for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
As is their way. I think they've now developed enough of the background story now, and it seems that the big rule book is just come back. It's gone away from like the 4-page rule sheet. It's now gone back to a full-on hardback book, as with the old days, where you've got background stuff and hobby stuff and rules and other guns in there. So I think it's good. And the models.
Yeah, I think they'll do that with 8th as well at some point, just kind of, because there's been quite a few FAQs recently, and they'll just consolidate it all into one book.
Yeah, it'll come, it just goes inside.
I think there's certain magic things they were going to cram in it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for the orcs to come out.
But we've gone into the non-Necromunda part. Welcome back. There may be a slight difference in sound quality now, because we had our first tester, which was the welcome and what we've been up to this month, and the confirmed news, and now we're back on the Sunday with hopefully the rest of the show.
Yay.
So this one is the showcase for the van Saar, and it is Michael's time to talk, thankfully, and I may have added something in there, or I might not have done.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? This time around, I've got an auto cue rather than reading off a manky old bit of paper. I've got an auto cue, so I'm all confused now.
Yeah, you might have something in there, you might not.
Yeah, I might not be able to read off a laptop screen. This could be a bit tricky.
I'll trust in you.
Or my eyesight's going to let me down. If I increase the font size, that'll help.
Should I fill while you're waiting?
Yeah, joys of getting hold of. Well, shall I begin? I'll be sitting comfortably.
Yeah, please.
Am I reading both these paragraphs? I believe I am. Okay, so.
Yes, please.
Van Saars are well known for the superiority of their arms and equipment. Their technology is more cutting edge than the other houses. The house's manufacturing procedures are clear cut, and its completed products are of the utmost quality. The noble houses of the Hive are known to pay handsomely for the Vansar-made goods. As a result, the house is undoubtedly the wealthiest in Hive Primus. Due to this familiarity with Imperial weaponry, as well as the abilities to improve and use it in combat, Vansars are often recruited by the Imperial Guard as high-utility conscripts. Their staggering power, however, is built around a dark secret. Flaws in their understanding of the corrupted STC that creates their technology, flaws that bathe them in radiation and slowly kill them from within. The Vansars have a well-earned reputation of being serious-minded and somber people, with a deep-seated emphasis placed on order and hierarchy. Like the other gangs of Hive City, and the Vansars have a style of clothing which distinguishes them from others. In their case, this equates to a close-fitting bodysuit intended to defend and sustain the wearer in the harsh Hive environment. Semi-permeable membranes in the suit reduce the loss of the body's dampness, whilst numerous spots on the material change colour to inform the wearer of airborne pollutants and reduce levels of oxygen.
Aaron, you could use the body's dampness thing in the pleasure dome.
Reduce the moistness.
Just cast a black light or dark light over it.
Heavy dancing.
So I was having trouble understanding what the STC was. Is it like a machine that builds their stuff?
The STCs.
I got the impression
like
it was to do with the piece of or some technology that they've found and discovered, and that was their little secret, or the secret of their success as such, because it's the technology that puts them ahead of everyone else. But unfortunately it wasn't complete, and they didn't quite understand it fully, and that has hence sort of corrupted them and sort of poisoned them. That's my understanding.
Yeah, essentially an STC is like the blueprint on how to build a certain thing. So each, like a Land Raider has an STC, any gun has an STC. It's basically like the Haynes manual, the program that gets plugged in so they can keep producing them, because from what I understand in the lore, like in 40k, everyone's forgotten how to build any of the stuff, and they just rely on these STCs, so the machines just keep churning them out. But this one has a slight flaw, so as it's churning this stuff out, it's also just churning these unstable weapons out, which might be quite powerful, but they're also quite dangerous. I think that's why. So STCs are, because no one, if they lost the STC for Land Raiders, or the planet got taken over or whatever, they wouldn't know how to build them anymore, because no one really knows how to build anything.
Like a blueprint or something.
Yeah, pretty much. So they've got some for weapons, and they've got them for quite good weapons, but they've also got flaws in them somewhere, so they're not getting built properly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I reckon we bluffed that one.
Oh, I think I remember my 40k stuff. It's just trying to remember what it stands for.
Yeah.
So the top 3 features of the Vansar. So I've got the tight suits, the fancy guns, and the beards. But now they've got a lack of hair, a lot of them, due to the rad poisoning, and there's females in there too, so not as many beards. The difference between the sculpts, the only thing, like, I mean, the steel tight suits and everything are the same, but like I say, there's not as many beards. There's helmets now, where there wasn't before, and there's masks and stuff. And ladies. So all of those bits are different to what they used to be.
I really do like the modern sort of kits now, where they're throwing female sculpts in there now, because there really is no need to not have them, you know. So I think it's really good. So interesting to see the Sisters of Battle. That's the ultimate 40k female model collection.
The Sisters of Silence have been looking good. I've got a couple of them for my Custodes army.
Nice.
I've got for their game style, shoot them at range. If they're not dead, shoot them again. And then shoot them one more time. Yeah,
definitely shooting. The only thing I would say is, if I can try and refer to my notes, there was something in, I think it was in their stat lines that suggested that actually they'd be all right in combat as well. Or actually, no,
it was a shield.
Yeah, it's like a number of specialised combat weapons, like close combat weapons. And you think,
they've got the knife, the pale knife.
Yeah, they got like the stun baton thing as well. I can't think. I haven't even got my book with me. That's really bad.
And some of their, I'll be talking about their skill tree as well in a minute. But some of their skills, one of them I'm putting on one of my gang members, which allows them to move twice and shoot. So gets them across the board pretty fast.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, talking about unique weapons, then we've got their body glove, which is a 6-up.
Yep.
Or just +1 on top of any armour. The shield, which Aaron was talking about, is a 2-up armour modifier in melee, but only in the front arc. And again, same with the front arc, but add +1 against shooting, and it can also protect against blasts.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure how many I have. I'll probably only put them on my models because they look cool, and then have to add them to the list. None of them are in my list currently for my Vansar models I've got, but I'll talk about mine in my list because my Vansar models are the ones that I use using the Gene Stealer cult stuff. So I haven't felt like chucking a shield on. They've got las guns and las carbines, and the only difference I can see is that the carbines have a short range, but they have rapid fire, and they have a 4+ ammo roll rather than a 2+, so a bit more likely to run out of ammo, but nice bit of rapid fire on the las gun.
Oh no, las carbine, plentiful.
Yeah,
so
but it's a 4+ ammo.
Yeah, you never have to do.
Oh, is that what plentiful means?
Yeah, you never have to do an ammo check.
Oh, I might carbine it up then.
Yeah, I mean you automatically pass.
Yeah, all ammo.
I learn something new every day. I should really play the game more. Then the suppression lasers are quite cool. They're a bit like the shotguns.
Yep.
So they've got like a solid shot sort of one, and then they've got something called broad burst.
Yeah, it's very short range though, isn't it? That's the only downside to it, really.
But it's like a flamer weapon. It's strength 2 scatter shot, and then making D6 wounds rather than 1. So it's a low strength, but if the people you're shooting at are toughness 3, then it's a 5-up. But then with D6 wounds, it could be pretty beefy. And it's also, if you know that you're shooting up a load of low toughness models, it might actually not be too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also a good way of like guaranteeing getting a model off the table, because with that D6 wounds, that's the number. Effectively, once you've taken it down to 0 wounds, that's the number of times you're going to be, or number of injury dice you're going to roll. So then
very true.
So then you've got more chance of getting that skull to get them off the table.
Yeah, it could be that you fire with all the heavy guns first, if there's a group of people, and then just scatter shot at the end. Just make them roll multiple wound dice.
Yeah, it could be nasty.
I've got the shock batons and staves, which don't really increase the strength or armour penetration too extreme, but they've got the shock thing, so any rolls of 6 is auto wound.
Yeah, which is nice.
And I quite like the staves because, I mean, I'll talk about it in my list, but the staves are quite a low points cost. Yeah, the staves are 5 credits.
Yep.
So I've been putting them on quite a lot of my models because
it's
just
funny
for
you say
chance.
Our gangs might turn out to be very similar.
But yeah, they look really cool.
Yeah.
And then there's new rad weapons as well. So like the rad gun is only strength 2.
Yeah.
But it's AP -2. But it also has the rad phage, so it auto wounds an extra flesh wound if you wound somebody, and it's a template, so it's like a raddy death flamer.
Anything with a template is good.
We're going to have to do a poll as to if you were going to get hit by a template weapon, which would you rather get hit by, and then like flamer, rad flamer or like a noxious Escher Chem flamer, if you had the choice and you're going to get mullered by one of them, which would you rather be mullered by?
It's just the limiting factor on that really is just the strength 2, isn't it? Because you're really going to struggle most of the time, but when it works, it's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like if that gun was to fire first at someone, and if it did get lucky and wound them, then you've done that flesh wound, you've knocked their toughness down, so the rest of your gang can then fire at that model and injure it more easily.
Yeah, I mean, are there any other? I mean, there's like rad cannons. I know I want to put a plasma cannon on one of my models. Are there any other weapons that you've seen that jump out at you guys?
No, I was just looking at the plasma stuff and the red cannon. Really, that's the big ones I was looking at. And then, like you say, the staves being so cheap, you just want to spread them around the gang.
Yeah, definitely.
Spread them around.
Have you seen how the combis work? Like, can you only shoot one at a time, or do you shoot both at once, or how does it work? Do you pick which weapon?
I haven't used a combi weapon in Necromunda yet, and I can't really recall the rule off the top of my head. I would imagine you only ever shoot one, but I'm sure our listeners will correct us on that.
I've got combi right here.
Oh.
Combi weapon has 2 profiles. When it is fired, pick one of the 2 profiles and use it for the attack.
Yeah.
There you go.
But then can you keep, is it like 40k old combi weapons where once you fired your plasma you fired it? Or do you
I think they carry on working.
No, I think you could use either or.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it carries on working, but if you fail an ammo check, I seem to recall that both modes go out of action.
Ooh.
So it's not like one of them jams, and then that's all right. I'll ignore that. I can use the other profile. I think if one jams, I think it's the gun out of action.
You have to roll 2 ammo checks.
Well,
so due to the compact nature of the weapons, they often have less capacity for ammunition and are prone to jamming and other minor issues. When making an ammo check for either of the weapons, roll twice and apply the worst result. However, unlike most weapons that have 2 profiles, ammo for the 2 parts of the combi weapon are tracked separately.
Oh.
So if one profile runs out of ammo, the other one can still fire.
That's the polar
unless
opposite
it
of what I
also
said.
run out of So you make 2 ammo checks.
Yep.
Pick the worst one. If one jams, you can still use the other.
That's fair enough. I must read them rules. They're very pesky, aren't they? These rules.
Damn pesky rules. Okay, so normally we would speak about the skill tree, but the only one that's different, which I haven't seen on any of the other gangs so far, is the shooting one.
Yeah.
So if we go through that, Vansars normally have, as a primary, they have shooting and savant, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Apart from the Juve, which actually has agility as its primary. And obviously the leader has leadership as one of its.
Yeah.
But if we look at the shooting, we've got first is fast shot. So fast shot, a fighter with fast shot can shoot as a simple action rather than a basic, as long as their weapon's not unwieldy. So they can fire twice with any weapon as long as they're standing still, essentially.
Yep.
As long
And
as
that's
it's
very
not
handy.
unwieldy.
Yep.
So you could have a lot of shots as long as that person's not moving.
Yeah.
Next one is gunfighter. If they do not, fighters with this have 2 pistols, can fire twice, but do not suffer the -1 penalty as if they were shooting with each pistol.
Yeah.
So you can gunslinger, but without the risk of missing as much.
Yeah.
So that's still pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's dependent obviously how you arm your models, isn't it? So take advantage of that.
Gunfighter would go with hip shooter really nicely as well, which is the next one. So hip shooter, which is called run and gun. A fighter with this can make a double move and then make a ranged attack.
Yep.
That attack has a -1 modifier.
I like
and
that.
Can't be unwieldy. Yeah. I might have added that to a person with a flamer, so the -1 doesn't count.
Yeah, that might be a mistake. But a little bit of a waste.
Because you don't roll this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, it's not the gunfighter one. It's the one that allows you do this one. You will have to have a -1 modifier if you run and shoot twice. Sorry, run twice and shoot.
Right.
So with a flamer, it means I negate the -1.
Oh, I see. You're very tricksy. You are.
Wait,
that's the only one I've seen.
-1. You don't fight. You don't roll.
That's what Tom means.
There you go.
So he's basically ignoring that penalty for that ability.
Oh, okay.
It's like, haha, I see you're -1 to hit, and I raise you a flamer.
But not a heavy flamer, because that's unwieldy.
Obviously.
Next one is marksman. This fighter is not affected by the rules of target priority. In addition, if a hit fighter for a ranged attack is a natural 6, when using a weapon that does not have a blast trait, they score a critical hit and the damage is doubled.
Yeah, that's really
if
handy.
they're rolling a rapid fire weapon, only the first damage hit is doubled. So you can't insanely double damage like a heavy stubber, because that would be mental. But yeah, it's still pretty sweet. But if you've got 6 turns, you're probably not going to roll a 6 to hit very often. But it's nice to be able to not have the priority issue without having to roll. So it would mean that you could have someone up high plinking away, but also just choosing who they choose to shoot at.
The thing with the skills as well is you've got to remember that these are sort of piled in over a period of time as your gang progresses. So eventually you'll get like a number of games where you'll never ever get that 6, and then 5 games down the line you'll get one and you go, haha, I've got that.
Yeah. Or if we're playing Michael, we might get 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then you'll be like, alright, I give up.
I can only dream.
And then precision shot. If hit fighter for a range attack, if a hit roll major attack is a natural 6, this shot hits an exposed area and they cannot make an armor save. That may only really be helpful if you're shooting against someone heavily armored.
Yep.
So if you've got a gang who you're fighting against who are relying on armour a lot, it could be helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
But then you'll probably find you don't roll to wound, and you miss your roll to wound, and you roll a 1 anyway. The last one is trick shot.
Yeah, I like that one.
When a fighter makes a ranged attack, they do not suffer a penalty to hit. For being if you're shooting at someone engaged in partial cover. In addition, if the target is in full cover, they only suffer the -1 penalty instead of -2.
-2.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I think getting that one layered on with the target priority one, if you get that layered on top with those 2 skills, then it means your sort of heavy weapons, long range shooters can basically just start plinking away at anybody. It doesn't matter whether they're in cover or not, you know.
But you just got to make sure some of the rules do say don't use with unwieldy, so you just got to be careful what weapons you whack on who.
Yep.
But that's it for the skill tree. So that's it for that segment, unless you have anything you have before we go on to our rosters.
No, I think that's pretty much covers it.
No.
Cool. Okay, guys, if you are listening in your Van Saar suit, peel it off and get ready for our roster session. So we will see you back in a second. Okay, welcome back everyone. It is time for the roster. So we've all got 3 gangs and we're going to see how close our gangs are to each other or how very different they are. So Michael's going to go first.
Yeah. This time round I went for a slightly different methodology. Previously, I think in all the other gangs I've done, I've tried to get bodies and have as high a model count as possible. But with the Van Saars, I just wanted to have the guns, and them guns are dear. So I've got a low model count this time. I've effectively got a leader, 2 champions, and 3 gangers, and that is the gang.
Wow.
Ooh, blimey.
So there's not many. So
how does it feel? Do you feel dirty like that?
I know.
Because I know that you always like the I like the numbers.
I do.
You feel strange.
But I wanted to get all the big toys. That's the trouble.
Hello.
So I went for the leader. I gave him the suppression laser because I wanted him to try and get stuck in. It's a short range gun, but he's got the options of the 2 firing modes, and it seems to be quite good and effective. I gave him mesh armour and some smoke grenades, working on the theory that he's going to be in the thick of things, and at least if he's a bit exposed, then he can throw a smoke grenade and hopefully get a bit of cover and protect himself or be out of sight.
Okay.
And for skills, I gave him hip shooting, so he can run and gun.
Nice.
So the idea is that he can do his double moves to get close, and then probably second turn maybe do a double move again, and then start shooting his gun. So that's the leader. And then the first champion, I gave him the rad cannon, just because it was a rad cannon, and I gave him the skill of trick shot. So I didn't give him any other equipment, just the gun. So that trick shot's the one that ignores some of the to hit modifiers if the target is in cover. So you can take advantage of the long range of the gun and hopefully start plinking away at models that are hiding.
Nice, and it doesn't affect unwieldy or anything.
100 points that red gun.
I know. Yeah. And then next was the other champion, and I gave him the plasma cannon. Once again, more heavy, long-range shooting, and I gave him trick shot as well for the same reasons. So at that point, started running out of points. The three gangers start having a little bit less equipment or some budget stuff. So I've got 2 that have got las pistols and the shock stave, just because it's 2 combat weapon suitable weapons, and they're relatively cheap. It's like 10 points for the pistol and the stave, and you think, well, that's just nothing. And then the final ganger, I gave him a rad gun just because it's rad, and then he's also got a shock stave as well.
Yeah, and they are definitely a good weapon, I think.
And that's pretty much the whole gang. So it's a very low model count compared with what I'm used to, but I wouldn't mind giving it a go just to make use of those big heavy weapons.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
rad
what's
phase
the rad?
is pretty good.
And what was the rad gun again? Do you say rad gun or is it rad cannon?
Yeah, rad gun. So that's like a special weapon.
So it's like the flamery thing, the one I was talking about, the strength 2, 8,
No, it's a blast. Is it a blast?
Oh, I can't remember. Shamefully, I haven't got my book with me. Because this is the problem with recording on 2 separate days, is that on day 1 I was really organised with all my paperwork, and then day 2 I'm not so.
If you've given them a rad cannon, then you've got the 3-inch blast, rad phase, strength 2, unwieldy, or you've given them the rad gun, which is the template weapon.
That's it, templates. That was why I chose it. Templates.
Okay. You are a template fiend.
Yep. Template fetish.
Oh, rad gun. Yeah, rad phase and template. Yeah.
So have you got any jubies? Did you say?
No, I couldn't afford any.
Okay.
It's only a strength 2. Minus 2 AP. 1 damage.
Yeah, it's just because.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Aaron? What have you got for yours?
Well, I've gone against my usual elite.
Oh wow!
We've totally flipped.
I know. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've got my leader. Comes in at 230 points. He's got a plasma pistol, and he's got the shield.
Okay.
And that is it. And he has got is it a hip shooter? So he's got that. So he just needs to get in there, getting stuck into hand-to-hand combat really, or
sounds
kind
like
of plasma pistol, pretty good. The shield, I really like the shield. I like the way it looks. So yeah, I didn't want to give him anything else really, because that shield essentially gives him that the mesh armor. Is it the +1?
Yeah.
So he's gonna get what, 5 plus?
If he's got mesh armor as well, then yeah, it'll give him a 5+.
So it's 5 plus.
Does the leader come with mesh armor?
No, he comes with his normal body.
Yeah, I didn't
no,
think
he's
he
got
had
his normal bodysuit, which is 6, and then the shield gives him +1.
Oh, of course, yeah, sorry.
So it'll be 5 plus. so basically same thing. But in hand-to-hand combat it's 2+, which is, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice.
And then I've got one champion with a plasma gun, and he has got fast shots. Champion 2, suppression laser, and power knife. Just in case he gets in hand-to-hand combat, he's got the power knife to just cut people up in hand-to-hand combat. Can't be parried,
Nice.
and
Can't be parried.
Yeah, it's because it's power, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you need another power.
Can't be parried.
Oh, okay.
So can that be parried by a power sword? I assume it can.
I guess they just nullify each other out.
Yeah.
So it still can't be parried.
Yeah. And it gets backstab as well, so he gets a +1 to hit in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. And if he rolls a 6, it's an automatic. It was an addition.
Yeah, it's all auto and.
Yeah. Yeah, and the damage is increased by 1. It's pretty good, so I like that.
Sweet.
And then I've got 4 gangers with las carbines. Now, just to lay down a lot of firepower. You got. Yeah, I really like the las carbines. I haven't gone for anything fancy like you guys with your rad cannons or anything like that. I've gone for sheer firepower, just laying down loads of shots, really. And then I've got one Juve with double las pistol, just to tie it all up, because I had an extra 40 or 45 points. Yeah, so it's a lot of firepower, just like brat.
shoot them again.
Shoot them again. So I've got one guy with a power knife just in case things get a little bit tight. You can just get in there and just chop some people up. But essentially, my lot are all about the shooting.
It's kind of what they're supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, shall I go on to mine?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I've not double champed because I fell into the same issue as Michael to start with. I had one done, and then I wanted a heavy plasma cannon on the other guy, and then by the time I'd added all 3 up, I think I had about 150 points left for the rest of the army.
Ouch. Yeah.
So my leader has a plasma gun. He's been given marksman, so he can shoot twice if he stands still. And I've given him a sight, a mono sight. I don't normally. This is the first guy I've given sights to, so this improves the accuracy of the shot. The fighter with this weapon making an aim action adds +2 to the result instead of +1. So either I can lay down 2 shots, or I can stand still and get a 2+ shot if I really want to slam someone with a bullet.
Yeah.
So and he's just got a las pistol as a secondary weapon in case he runs out of plasma shots. My champ is the one I spoke about with hip shot and a flamer. So he's the only one that I really want to. I'm hoping to keep with my guys, try and keep them out of the way and just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. But if I need to, this guy can just be waiting around to leg it to whatever part he needs to then lay a load of flamers. So if someone's just pushed through a certain way, he's then got the speed to be able to get over to that side. So even if it's that turn or the turn after, he can then flame a group of people if they're trying to push on one side. I've then got 3 gangers with las guns, very, very similar to yours, Aaron, just to keep shooting. But then I didn't notice about the plentiful thing, so I might go for the las thingies. I can't remember the name now. What you've got?
Las carbines.
Yeah, las carbines. And then I've got one ganger who's going to have a combi plasma and a shock stave. And I've also then got a Juve that's just got a las pistol, and that leaves me with 70 credits left over. Because so I could either try and get an ammo jack or just save it for the next game. But yeah, that's it really. So we seem to have gone for hip shot or marksman or trick shot really.
Yeah.
In regards to skills. And none of us have picked savant stuff. We want our
I can't get my head around the skills that are used in between games. I just can't get over that hurdle of thinking that something tangible, something you can actually use in the game, feels better.
Mentor is pretty good. I think you get double the achievement points.
Yeah, you get extra double. Or you get 2 experience, don't you, rather than 1?
That's it. Yeah, 1. Yeah.
For taking someone out of action.
That's it. So I would go for that.
Yeah.
But you still have to be within range of that.
Yeah, I think it's 6. I think it's 6 inches. I think. From memory.
So it's quite. You have to be really thinking about it a lot to make sure your mentor's in the same 6 inches. So if that guy's, you have to kind of get your mentor in, and then get the other guy in, and then the other guy kill the other guy, like the enemy, just as the mentor is nearby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be cool, and it's one of those skills that would be better to start with rather than get halfway through, because you kind of want that skill straight away.
Right at the start. Yeah.
Yeah, try and get the rest of your gang sort of levelling up faster.
But it might be that once we start playing campaigns and stuff, like whoever does it first, because I know I'm going to be doing it soon with the some of the Bedford guys or the Milton King guys. As soon as I come back from a campaign about Jesus Christ, we need some. Yeah, well, I haven't made friends yet. They might tell me they might not want to play with me after the first game. It might be that I come back and be like, Christ, you need those campaign thingies.
Yeah.
You need as much help as you can after the game as you. But because we don't do it enough, we've not seen the benefit of it. It might be that I come back and every single player I'm going to have is always going to have something at the end of the game now, just because it's that important.
Before we move on, can we spend a little bit of time talk about the tactics cards?
Oh yes, please do.
Yeah, because I had a bit of an epiphany with these, and for some reason, it never crossed my mind that you could actually pick the card yourself, like actually select which one you want. I've just been playing it that you just take them randomly. It says, "I'll take 2 cards," then you take 2 randomly, but you don't. So for most of the missions, probably more than half of them, you actually get to choose the card.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually combine that with your skills or your loadout on your gang, and you can sort of craft some cheeky little sort of combos, which I think is really good. So with that in mind, I actually read properly the Van Saar's cards, and I'll run through the list and then see what you make of them. There's a couple of standout ones that I could imagine me putting onto like different models in the gang. But right, we'll go through this. So we've got Auto Healer, which is useful. What it does is, in the end phase, you pick a model and you don't roll an injury dice for that model. They just become pinned, and you take a flesh wound instead. So it takes away that risk of them either being face down for another turn, or the potential skull dice taking them out.
Yeah.
You know, so that's quite.
If you really want to keep that person safe.
Yeah.
If he's a key person.
Yeah, and all the time they're on their feet, or potentially going to be on their feet, they've got more chance of staying alive. Cool. So the next one, Blood Cleanser. I think this one's particularly good against Escher, because you get +1 toughness against toxin and gas weapons, and that's across your entire gang.
Oh, wow.
So
that's pretty good.
So if you draw a game against some random guy in a store or in your league or whatever, and they've got an Escher gang, and you know they're going to be throwing loads of toxin and gas at you, then you just pick that card, and all of a sudden everyone in your gang's got +1 toughness.
Nice.
So that's got to be good. They've got Comms Burst, and this basically helps to rally models, like when your gang starts breaking and running for the hills. That helps you out of that. Normally the wheels have fell off at that point anyway, but if it comes up as a random pick, then that's fair enough. Cortical Stims. One model also passes intelligence checks. So I've not had much to do with intelligence checks, really.
Yeah. I know more things.
Yeah, I think they're to do with things like activating equipment and like doors. If you're playing the rules where you need to do an intelligence check to be able to open the door and things like that. But I can't think from off the top of my head of many other things that require an intelligence check.
Quite situational.
It is, yeah. So it's one of them ones that you're not necessarily going to pick, but if it comes up randomly, then you try and find a way to use it.
Yeah.
Next one, enhanced auspexes. It's an interesting way to target hidden models. I think it basically means that you don't need line of sight to be able to shoot someone, which is so you've still got to be in range, but you can effectively shoot someone who's not in line of sight. So that's a definite ha-ha moment in the game when your opponent's kind of advancing and thinking, right, I'm out of the way, you can't possibly see me. He hasn't got enough movement to be able to get a line of sight, so this model's safe. And then you pop that card and then you go and blast them with something. So that could be quite, so that could be quite nasty.
Aaron with his mining laser, that would be horrible. He could actually shoot those servitors.
Experimental rig.
Oh yeah.
The experimental rig, that increases the range and strength of a weapon. So it's only on one model. I can't remember how much range it gives you. I think it might be like an additional 6 inches or something like that. So you get a bit more range and you get more strength as well.
Nice.
So that's quite handy. So particularly for those strength 2 weapons, you think all of a sudden you bump them up to strength 3, and you think, well, that's not too bad.
But you can't add an extra 6 inches to your flamer,
No.
because that'd be awesome.
Well, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Imagine just saying you do it like in 40k, where you used to be able to extend the template away from the model a certain distance. Can't think.
Like Torrent.
That's it, Torrent. Yeah, but that's not in there. That would be interesting.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah, round corners and everything.
I'd give that to my runner with the flamer as well. Could you imagine? That'd just be insane. I'd be hitting people over the other side of the board.
Yeah, just
What have we got next? We've got Hyper Auto Loader.
Nice. I like that one already.
Yeah, this one's got the potential for a mega number of extra shots with a rapid fire weapon. I can't remember how many it is. I think it doubles the number of shots, or does it allow you to shoot twice? I can't remember. I've got the cards here, so I probably should look. But it's just making sure you've got the rapid fire weapons to take advantage of that. Let's have a look. Dun, dun, dun. Live card shuffling. That's what our listeners want. That's what they pay for.
yeah.
Oh, you get paid?
Well, don't you? I thought everyone got paid for doing this. Oh no. I'll wake up now. What was I looking for? Hyper Auto Loader.
Hyper Auto Loaders.
So you play this card when a fighter makes a ranged attack. So basically when he shoots. If a fighter is using the weapon with rapid fire trait, they can roll 2 extra firepower dice.
Oh.
So potentially, if you're rolling a rapid fire 1 gun, you'll be rolling 3 of those dice. So you've got the potential for 9 hits.
Oh, put that on the carbines.
Obviously, you've got more chance of jamming. Obviously.
No, put it on a heavy stubber or a heavy bolter.
Yeah. The ranged weapon. Oh, actually, here we go. After working out the effects of the shot, the ranged weapon automatically counts as having failed an ammo check, regardless of the result. So you might have got 9 shots, but it still jams. But
you've chopped your gun.
But it's probably worth it having that one round of jamming, just to get a massive barrage of weapons. We've got another couple to go. We've got medical protocols. There we go. This is my dodgy handwriting.
Protocols.
Yeah, tentacles. Everyone likes tentacles.
Are you sure it wasn't sending a dick pic?
Bless us, we're completely inept, or just me. So this one, when assisting, doing a recovery roll, you do an extra dice. So you basically roll an extra dice, and then choose a result. So you've got more chance. Okay. So you've got more chance of someone who's down getting up.
Fresh wounding.
So that's handy. Mesh overlay. The model can ignore the AP of a weapon for armor saves from ranged attacks. So that's very handy.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're facing off against loads of plasma or things that have got lots of negative AP that's normally going to chew through your armor, you can just ignore that. Overcharge. You get extra strength for a las or plasma weapon. So
that's pretty good.
Extra strength is always good. Pneumatic injectors. You get extra strength with a melee attack. So once again, more strength is always good, just to make it easier it's fairly easy for most models to land a hit, whether it's in combat or shooting. But the wound roll is the killer, isn't it?
Mm.
And then the final one is Warforge. You get +1 to all ammo checks, and that's across the entire. That's across the entire gang.
Nice.
That's just for one round, isn't it?
Is it for one round? I thought it was for the entire game, but could be wrong. I'll try to find Warforge. For the duration of this battle, all friendly models have a +1 modifier to ammo checks.
If you have an ammo jack as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So you basically all your specialised scarce weapons, you're just not going to run out of.
Yeah.
You're not going to run out of ammo, so that's quite tasty.
Yeah, sounds pretty sweet.
So you put that on the carbines. The free ammo jack. Is it ammo jack +1?
I can't remember. I only spoke about it last month.
I know. I've been asleep since then.
Gang of War 2. I'm reading.
So
ammo jack.
So yeah, I'm quite impressed with the like them tactics cards. The fact that you can choose, you know. So now I need to go back to the Goliath and the Escher cards and have a proper read through them now, and then work out which ones of them fit my gang.
An ammo jack is anyone who fails an ammo check roll of a natural 1, they can re-roll.
That's handy.
Oh, okay. Cool. I was just looking at the energy shield. I read that wrong. It's not 2+ armor save in hand-to-hand combat. It's +2 armor in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, it's still good though.
Oh yeah. I mean, you'll get a 4+ saving.
Yeah.
You just got to pay attention what way you're facing.
Yeah. I was reading. Oh, okay. No, it's still pretty good. 4+ in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to pay attention to how you're standing. I always forget about that. I always just end up, because I'm used to 40k where you just put your guys however you want.
Yeah.
Because it's 360 degree fire.
But it's also the negative to hit as well for when it's your turn to do your reaction attack and you turn to face.
Yeah.
It's remembering to do that. I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
You know what you need? You need versatile terrain bases with the little notches on.
Oh, nice.
To show you what way it's facing.
Nice plug.
Thank you. There you go, Keith, for all your basing needs.
Yeah, that one's for you.
Okie dokie.
That's a free one. That's a freebie.
Oh yeah, well, I haven't actually gotten it. I mean, the freebies have been his competition, which have been awesome.
Yep.
So it's competition thingy. And I've got one base for one of my models, but I'm going to get a whole set. Now I've got the 2 gangs ready, I can get that final bit done. So I've got my Goliaths and my Eschers done.
Yep.
My next up will be my Van Saars, I think.
Nice.
Either that or my Bounty Hunter gang.
I think I will go to I will have a Van Saar army, but I'll swap the beard guy out. I just don't like it.
So you're going to use you're going to use the proper models?
Yeah, I'll use the proper models, but not that beard. I've got a thing about beard. I don't know.
Oh. I wondered why you don't look at me the same way anymore.
No, yours is alright. It's just when it goes up. No, it's just when it goes all massive.
Oh.
That's what she said.
Some people like the beard.
And on that note,
yeah, it's time for the conversion corner, guys. So we'll pause for a sec, and then we'll be discussing how we've been building, how to build other models if you didn't want to use the ones that have just come out. Okay guys, we're back. We're at Conversion Corner of the Van Saar, the last bit before we get into those lovely bounty hunters. So, seeing as I've actually made Van Saar without using the kit, I'll probably go first.
Yep.
So, my pictures will go up. I'm pretty sure I've put the pictures up before in the past, but I will put them up again with the show note, with the post for this episode. Mine are using the Gene Stealer Cult new Gene Stealer cult bodies, because they essentially had a hazard suit.
Yeah, it makes some sense.
Already, sort of thing. And a lot of the arms are from the Scion kit. So the Scion kit has plasma guns. It has different looking las guns, so they can look like the las carbines or the las guns, and they look different enough from the standard las gun, so you can tell that the Van Saar actually have them. And they're the ones that they've made. I've used heads from Puppet War. They make loads of beautiful kind of like different heads. I've got bits just kicking about all over the place of their heads.
I had a look at their heads, but I couldn't find one that sort of matched that Van Saar theme.
I mean, all I did was make sure that they had beards, essentially. Let me have a look at. I'll try and find which ones they were.
Could you put their heads on upside down, and then they're like bald-headed guys with beards, but their mouth is. They've got a mouth in their forehead.
They'd end up looking like the guys in Red Dwarf when they had to turn their heads upside down and stuck eyeballs to their chins.
That's brilliant. For any US listeners, watch Red Dwarf. Seasons maybe 1 to 4.
Yeah, don't go too high.
Yeah, but 1 to 4 is brilliant British comedy, classic.
Yeah, Red Dwarf was awesome. I'm gonna when I post the page, when I post the group, the recording up on the Facebook group, I'll put the pictures and the links to the things. I think there's something to do with the word Cossack in it, and then some bearded guys, and it was just a nice collection of them.
Yeah.
And so basically it was relatively easy. All I had to do was get Scion weapons, and their arms essentially went on really easily to the Gene Stealer cult parts. So it was really, really simple actually, and it does make a nice. I saw some people who have made some cool conversions where they've used a tiny ball bearing and put that in the head to make it look like a domed helmet. Which I think would look really cool, which I might try. But yeah, it's really simple. Just replace the head with a ball bearing, and it looks like a big shiny helmet.
Just don't paint a stripe down the middle.
Yeah, there's hair coming out the top.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so for conversions, it actually wasn't too complicated. I know me and Michael were chatting just before an Aaron about other possibilities, because I had previously converted the gang, a Van Saar gang, using like Michael was saying the
Elder Guardian,
Guardian models, but it was such a pain. Scales were all over the place, so the Guardians were thinner, which is perfect. I mean, they had the bodysuit, the skin tight suit, which is fine. But then trying to match Imperial stuff to them, either using the Guardian arms and then cutting off the shuriken catapult and then trying to put an Imperial gun was a pain.
Oh, yeah.
And so just the splicing of all of the bits and pieces, it was hard to get, because the Guard are slightly bigger than they should be, and then the Space Marines are slightly smaller than they should be. I know the Primaris kind of balanced that out a bit now, but it was just really difficult to get the scale. And then I used scout heads because it was kind of the smallest Imperial head that I could find that wasn't a guardsman, and then it just didn't work in the end. It was just a lot of work, and you could see where I'd been trying to jam different bits together, but then the Gene Stealer cult box set came out and it was perfect.
Yeah, I think they'll work really well for that. Then the only other thing I can think of is perhaps something from the Infinity range, because they've got sort of like very sleek looking sort of bodysuit wearing gangs and stuff in that faction.
Yeah, the Nomads.
But I think they're going to be very thin and spindly compared with the sort of semi-heroic scale that 40k or Necromunda and 40k is. If they're anything, like
metal.
The Malifaux models, they're kind of like true scale humans, if you like, and they are very delicate. But it still looks like a cohesive looking gang if all of the models are like that. But it'd be hard pushed to just slot one or two of them into a collection of other models.
Yeah, it's either all or nothing really
Yeah.
with those ones. Because they come as one solid model and they're metal. And it's just a pain cutting bits out off and...
They still making them in metal then? I don't know,
Yeah,
I haven't really followed Infinity, so...
No, still, yeah, metal.
God blimey.
Oh, I hate
Yeah.
metal. Sorry,
I've got
really old school people, but
You know
I can't
what?
stand metal.
When GW used to sell metal models, I used to love it because I go by the weight of something. Oh, it weighs. It must be good. It weighs heavy. It must be good. It's like a proper old school mentality right there. But
You'll
ever since
regret that
plastic
though,
come
Baron,
out-
because you're
No,
moving
I know.
house.
Yeah, I know. But plastic
6
models when they
legs,
first
Space
started
Marine
coming
Dragons.
out, when plastic models first started coming out, I was like, oh no, it just doesn't have the feeling. It feels like you're not getting as much for your money, really.
Mm.
But then in the long run, you realise how much better plastic models are for converting and just carrying around and painting as well. Like paint doesn't chip. So now I've got all these metal models I bought off the internet. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. I've got so many Terminator models. Those weigh a ton as well. I've got so many Imperial Guard metal models that I bought.
Put them in
The old
a
school
tray.
Ketchen.
Put them in a tray, and then put them inside the oven. Put the oven on really hot, and then set up a video on time lapse. Post it on the internet and go viral. That'll be fine.
Yeah, I like the old school Ketchen models. They're pretty good. I found the other day when I was digging around one of the first walkers for
The
Imperial
Space
Guard.
Marine robot.
No, the Imperial Guard. It had like
okay.
two like chicken legs, and it was the metal one, and it had a Canadian guy just sitting on the top. Yeah, they're pretty classic. But, yeah. Sorry, I digress.
You did.
Yeah, and then you drop it or you do anything, and
Oh
it
my
just
God.
the bits snap into 1,000 pieces
Yeah,
because they can't
exactly.
sustain their own weight.
Yeah.
Ugh, horrible. Anyway, completely going off conversion
No.
corner. I think it's time for going off and getting into the bounty hunters, which is one I've been looking most forward to out of all the Necromunda stuff so far.
Yeah.
So so we'll have a quick break and we'll go into bounty hunters. Okay guys, we're back. It's time for the lore of the bounty hunter, and once again it's really time for Michael.
Yeah, I desperately need the practice after the last effort. Let's see if I can fare any better this time. So this is
Aaron will
straight
edit
out
it, you'll sound amazing.
the White Dwarf. So, all across Necromunda, from the drudging halls and factorums and the precinct blockhouse walls to the rusting gates of downhive settlements and cross-tunnel gibbets, images of the faces of wanted fighters flutter to the stale breeze of the carbon scrubbers. A group of talented murderers who make a healthy living collecting bounties, and with the promise of shared rewards and extra firepower, they sometimes gather together into bands of ruthless professional killers, drawn from every clan, house and outland race on Necromunda. Venusaurs come in all shapes and sizes, mixing ex-Goliath heavies and nimble Escher assassins alongside disgraced watchmen and embittered cast-out nobles. And I read that and I suddenly fell in love with them already.
It's awesome.
You know,
It's by far my favourite gang.
because I was a bit late getting the White Dwarf magazine. I was probably like about 2 weeks behind everyone getting it, and everyone was immediately posting up pictures on the Facebook groups and stuff of all their Venator gangs, and they was all going nuts for it. And I thought, oh, what's all this going on? And then I read that, and then I felt exactly the same. It kind of feels like, and also when you start to read the rules and that from which we'll discuss a bit later, it just feels like how you want bounty hunters to be. It's almost like the ultimately flexible gang. You can just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
They're definitely awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've put for the top 3 features of a bounty hunter, so there are they're a gang that's essentially banded together, and it could be anything that's in your head. So you could create the A-Team.
Oh my God.
I had an instant theme as well popped into my head. I was just thinking of Firefly and Serenity. That's just what popped into my head. A group of bandits.
Dirty Dozen. Doesn't have to be Dozen.
The Kill Team from Predator.
Oh yeah.
And you've got. I was thinking you've got the Mad Robot make an awesome set of heads, which are all the characters from the Predator. So you could easily make a thingy gang, but we'll be talking about that in the last bit for Conversion Corner. But yeah, it's awesome. I love them. I mean, the old versus new. There's no sort of old sculpts because it's essentially a brand new edition.
Yeah.
It didn't exist in the old one, not in the same way. I mean, you can even to try and do the spires. I know I read somewhere there was someone who'd worked out the costs. I think we discussed it in the previous episode where they'd managed to kind of go through the trading post and try and pull out weapons that were kind of like what the spires had, and like one guy's weapons ended up costing like 200 credits because it was just they're so loaded up with stuff, including all their armour but shields and stuff are a bit more difficult. So I remember one of them has a mirror shield, which kind of has a different rule in regards to getting hit by las guns and stuff.
The other thing this game can be used for is for doing stuff like Arbites and stuff like that. Things that aren't necessarily going to come on the horizon anytime soon, if at all, for this release of Necromunda. But because the game is so flexible in the equipment you can choose and like the profiles of the models, you can kind of pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with the free kind of, well, not free reign, but the allowance of using the trading post to get most of the weapons. It gives you so much flexibility to do whatever you like.
Yeah, it's my new favourite house.
Games, in regards to game style, it's difficult because you can basically theme it however you like. Yeah. With the skill tree, with the stats profiles that you can pick. I mean, the only thing that you have to be careful of is that you pick stats profiles which essentially are the stats profiles for the whole gang. So you can't make one an awesome shooty guy and then one an insane brawler and then one an insane something else. You kind of have to theme the gang.
I thought every individual model you picked the profile for.
No, what it says is I'll find the bit. So
if that's the case, I might have messed up my gang creation then.
Yeah, I'll read it anyway. So when creating a Venator gang, pick 4 skill sets apart from leadership. Rank them from 1 to 4.
Yeah, that's to do with the skills, isn't it? So yeah.
So you essentially have to go for a theme. So your gang could be all wanting to get up close and brawly.
Yep.
And then you can pick ones according. But do you mean as in picking the actual skill itself?
Yeah, no, I was thinking. I thought it was on about the profiles of the actual models.
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely do that as well.
Yeah, I thought that choosing the skill tree thing. I thought that was actually quite a good idea. I like that because you make that conscious decision to have the gang progress how you want it to with the skills that you want.
Yeah, I think the only one that I'll talk about when I talk about my gang, it only limits one of my models, and that's it. And I'm willing to take that sort of hit anyway, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Should we go straight into our gang list?
Yeah, I'll go first if you like.
I don't have a gang list.
Oh, Aaron, you're such a nice fella.
Steady, because
but my one's so good it will make up for the fact that you haven't got one, Aaron. That's how good mine is.
Awesome.
I don't know. I think I was like, oh, okay, cool, another gang list that I'll probably never. Well, I won't make at the moment, so I might do one later on.
Yeah, I'm definitely making this one.
Yeah.
Right. So the gang that I've got for the Venators, like I said, it's going to be a Firefly theme. So anyone that knows the sci-fi series or the film, they're going to have a bit of a clue what's going to go on here. I have chosen the skills trees to be cunning, shooting, brawn, and flexibility.
Flexibility.
No, ferocity.
Cartwheel is a special skill.
That's River, isn't it? The flexible bit. She does a few backflips and stuff. Anyway, ferocity. So, starting out with my leader, that is obviously Mal. He is the hunt leader.
Mal!
I'm using profile B. I've got the thing here, but you get the
you
get
went
a sense,
into it way deeper than me.
You get a sense that he's got a high toughness. So he's got a toughness of 4 because he likes having a bit of a fight and he's fairly resilient. And he's not as good at fighting as what he is shooting because he's a bit of a cunning shot with a gun. So that's why I went for that particular profile. I gave him a bolt pistol because it's a nice solid pistol weapon. I gave him a sword because in one of the shows he has a bit of a sword fight with some guy. I gave him mesh armour just to protect him a little bit, and I gave him a stim slug stash. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it just makes him a bit more resilient. And that will be my leader. He comes in at however many points. I haven't added that up in that column. Okay, so moving on. We've got my first champion. This is Jane. I've given him profile C, which once again has given him increased toughness, but he's also got a higher strength as well because he's a bit of a brawler. Not the most delicate in combat, so his weapon skill isn't that great. So sorry, his weapon skill is better, but his ballistic skill is not so good. Counter to that, I've given him a plasma gun because in one of the shows he's got a fancy gun that he loves. So that will be his plasma gun. He can cradle that and sleep with it.
It's a bad shot, but plasma gun.
Yeah. I gave him a knife because he likes stabbing people in the back. Gave him some frag grenades because there's reference to him always wanting to throw grenades and stuff. Gave him some flak armour just to protect him a little bit, and I gave him a telescopic sight for his plasma gun because in one of the shows he's kind of playing the role of a sniper. So telescopic sight will help him out. I gave him the Overwatch skill, which allows him potentially to shoot during your opponent's turn. And then going back to Mal, I gave him Mentor, that we discussed earlier, to try and get the rest of the gang sort of progressing and levelling up faster. My second champion is representing Zoe. I gave her profile A, so being female model, she's got a slightly lower toughness, slightly lower strength, so it's like 3 and 3, and she's as good at shooting as she is at fighting. I gave her a bolt gun because that's a nice solid rifle type weapon that would put a little bit of hurt out there at range. I also gave her a stub gun for a pistol with dum-dum rounds, just for that a little bit of extra punch. I gave her a knife as well because she's quite tasty in combat. Mesh armour once again, and I gave her an armoured undersuit just to make her a bit more resilient than what she appears to sort of reflect her military training rather than being a relatively unskilled sort of civilian type. And I gave her infiltrate, so I thought that would be quite an interesting skill to have to try and get her popping up in the middle of enemy territory and stuff.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Deviating from the list, there's the potential for another champion following the theme of when I'm allowed to add a third champion, and that will be for River, for the young girl in that. But moving back to the gang, I've got 4 gangers, which are hunters. The first one is Wash, which is the pilot of the ship. So some of these are like non-combatant type models, so they're not necessarily going to have a huge amount of kit. But Wash, I've given a pistol and a knife, just because. And Kaylee, who's the ship's mechanic, I gave her a skin blade, which is something to protect her if she gets captured in one of the missions. It just represents her sort of coming up with an improvised weapon of sorts to help free herself. And that just represents her being a bit ingenious and making something up to help her escape. and I gave her a strip kit, which is like a tech thing to help open doors and stuff like that. It's very situational, but it just fitted the theme. But she's got no weapons, so any combat she does is going to be sort of unarmed attacks. She's going to be like the go-getting sort of runner. And I think the profile I gave her, it's the high speed, the 5-inch move profile. So she's not aimed at fighting. She's just there to go and get places. And then the next one is Shepherd, which is the preacher on the ship. I gave him an auto gun, auto pistol, a knife, and smoke grenades, because he's got some sort of connected history in his backstory, where he's fairly combat heavy and he knows his way around a battle. So although he looks from the outside to be a relatively peaceful, non-threatening character, he's fairly dangerous. So that's why I've tooled him up with plenty of guns and weapons. And then finally I've got Anara, which is the they politely call her a companion, which is an escort of sorts. So I gave her a stiletto knife, so it's something small that she can secrete about a person and then just go stabbing people. And I gave her chem synth just to make that a bit more dangerous. And that's me gang.
Sweet. Nice, and it has a wicked theme to it as well.
Yeah,
nice theme.
Yeah, so we shall talk about that in the conversion corner bit, about how to pull that off.
Awesome. Oh. Okay. Okay,
There's always
my
one.
turn.
Keep going with the smut.
I don't know, it's two now.
I think it's more than that. Anyway, so my one is based on Dog the Bounty Hunter. So I was planning to do just the two together as a bounty hunter team, but then I've just thought, well, now the gang's come out, I can do the whole lot. So this only actually has 5 people in it. They're very tooled up, but there's only 5 of them. I've paid attention to the rarity of the weapons as well, so different people are in different places just to allow them to be able to have access to certain guns. So I'm starting with Dog. So he, being the leader, has the rarity allowance of 11. So his gun is actually the melter gun. So that is horrible gun. So I've got a feeling that it is that if you take a wound to it, you essentially go straight out of action.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So it doesn't matter how many wounds you have, you just boof.
Yeah, just
and
melted.
There's no other gang. Yeah. There's no other gang really that I'm going to be putting a melted gun on, because with most gangs it's about numbers, but this was a very unique gang, so I thought, sod it, I've got to give it to someone at some point. And his second weapon is a bolt pistol. I have actually got to find somewhere to give him a hand-to-hand weapon, but at the moment he's just got a bolt pistol. I might actually give him a shock stave, kind of a bit bounty huntery, so I might do that.
You just tuck it in his belt, can't you?
Yeah. Or just
down
behind him. Yeah. Well, the model I've got has actually got chains around his neck, so I might try and adapt it to be like sort of harnessed onto his back.
Yeah.
My next champion is Dwayne Lee, who's the bigger guy with the beard. He's got rarity 10, so I've given him a heavy flamer and an auto pistol. I think Dog I might give a leadership skill to, and I might give him the overseer to allow someone else to have a second turn.
Yep, makes sense.
But I'm not sure yet. And Dwayne Lee I'm going to give bulging biceps, so you can get that heavy flamer around the board and still be able to fire it. And he's got an auto pistol as a backup. I've got Leland as the next champ. He again has the rarity 10. He is the one I want as a shooter. So he's got a long las, which is essentially a las gun, but with a longer range. And I think it's got a slightly different. I think it's got a slightly higher strength as well. I think it's strength 4. I'm just going to double check now. So long las is 36 inches. And it's got +1 for being in long range rather than short range, and it's strength 4, and it's plentiful, so I can have him up high, kind of not worry about him running out of ammo. And he's got a long las, a las pistol, and I've given him a mono sight, So if he steadies his aim, so he's not planning to move, so I'll then get a +2. So at long range you'll get the +1 for long range and then +2 for the mono sight. I think, let me just double check. Hopefully the two of them match up with each other, because I've got a feeling that the mono sight might be to do with short range, but I'm going to double check that. While I'm checking that, I'll go on with my other one. So the next one is Beth. If you're on the page, you'd have seen the model that I'm using for that.
Yep.
So she is going to have a bolter and a power hammer. So she's going to get up close and clonk someone around the face. Yeah, so basically mono sight is add 2 to the result when aiming, +2. So you'll have +1 for long range and +2 for staying still and aiming. So hopefully he'll be able to at least, so hopefully he'll pin something regardless. So if there's one thing that I don't want to fire, then I can just keep pinning it if needs be, and hopefully doing some damage as well with strength 4. And then the last character is Lisa, who's the girl in Dog the Bounty Hunter. So she will have a shotgun and a stub gun. So she just rounds off the last little bit of points. And so those 5 models all together are 990 credits. So it's a big, heavy point heavy gang. But it's my first one, and I'd run out of Dog the Bounty Hunter characters if I went too high anyway. But yeah, I really wanted to use a melter gun and a heavy flamer, because I haven't used either of them, and a long las. I mean, like I say, this game gives you the flexibility to just use all of those things that I've never used before, or probably won't use very often.
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to just chuck mono sights on and just convert the hell out of everything. It's just perfect. I think all my gangs are just going to be me making up ideas for Venator bounty hunter gangs now.
Yeah, I think is it Colonel Schaefer's Last Chances for people?
That would work perfectly too.
It really good. I really like those books.
Yeah, I mean,
Cage.
there's just so much. There's
I
just
think
so much possibility.
GW really hit the nail on the head with this.
You could almost have not had all the other houses and just had this.
No, yeah.
Because there's so much variety that you can fit into.
Yeah, but they needed that to sell the model.
Oh yeah. But obviously it's good to have all the background story and everything already built in from days gone by for all the other houses.
Yeah.
But this one is just so good.
Yeah, very good.
But I also think some people don't kind of do the same thing. I know we've got our podcast based on making stuff and converting stuff, but obviously some people just want to get the gang out the box. Some people even build it exactly how, like when the box set came out, the first Necromunda box set, they built all of the models exactly to the models that came in the box set with the cards and everything. So,
but to be fair, that was
different
what the instructions said, wasn't it? So, and at that time, you didn't know any different, did you?
But some people enjoy that. I mean, it's different strokes, I guess. But I'm loving these. So, Andy, whoever thought of those, Andy Hodd, just give them a hug from me. And yeah, because they're perfect. I might actually message you and see who it was. And so then I'll just go to GW to Forge World and be like, can I see this person, please? I owe him a hug.
Oh my God, stalking.
Oh, imagine if it was, what's his name?
I've got a feeling that probably no one will come downstairs. But talking about speaking to Andy, I messaged him in regards to the question about the hangers-on last episode. He says that the models do come with the weapons, so there's no additional cost, which I thought was right, because it was basically like I was saying, because they're not used very often. There's no, they just come with those weapons because you're barely ever going to use them anyway. So yeah, they come with them, so that problem was sorted.
That's fair enough.
And he's also said to me, if we come across anything before we release a podcast, just to ask him, and then we won't have any questions before we start recording. So that's really cool. So thank you, Andy.
Very good.
Okay, so it's Conversion Corner, which is going to be the awesome bit, where we talk about how we've built or planning to build and the models that we've just spoken about.
Yep.
So, Mr. Michael, do you want to go first, or should we break for a second?
Get a little break for a second, and I'll find the
Cool.
I'll find all the models.
Sweet. We'll have a little break. Time for some music. Okay guys, welcome back. We're at Conversion Corner and Michael is going to go first on how he's going to build his awesome Firefly models.
Okay.
So let's do it.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to cheat, because I'm not so much of an avid converter as what Tom is. I don't mind hacking a few models apart and stuff, but if there's an easy way of doing something, then I'm quite happy to just buy a model that's ready made. So luckily enough, Firefly's got such a massive following that there's sculptors out there that have already made 28mm models for them. So Heresy Miniatures pretty much have everything you need to do a Firefly gang. They've changed the names of them, obviously for copyright purposes. They can't call them the characters' names that they're actually in the TV show or the film, but they're pretty close to the names. So in that you can get Shepherd, I can get Mal, I've seen Kaylee. Wasn't too struck on that particular model because she's got a really weird expression on the face of the model. But I might be able to do something about that. I'll chisel her face off. And I've seen a Jane model where he's wearing his nice little woolly hat. I've seen that, so I think I can pretty much make the whole gang from Heresy Miniatures.
Sweet.
And that's going to be what my next purchases are going to be, because I'm going to make this gang happen.
Hey.
Oh, she has got a weird face. Oh my god.
It's proper weird, isn't it?
Oh my god, she looks like...
I'm going to have a hunt now. Sorry,
Like she's seen the worst thing you can... Like she's looked into the eye of terror.
What company is it again? Heresy Miniatures.
Heresy Miniatures. Yeah. Oh wow, that is. Yeah, she's looked into the eye of terror and it's driven her mad.
I really want to see him now.
You'll have to wait until the podcast is released, and then I'll put the photographs.
Sorry, Michael, you carry on.
The other ones don't look that bad.
No,
what's his name? Is it Flynn, the main guy?
Mal is the character. I can't think what they've actually called him.
Mal sounds like some kind of Chinese. What's it called? Like a dictator.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, okay, got you.
So where do smugglers and other anti-heroes? Is that where I'm looking?
Yeah, their website's a little bit hard to navigate, to be fair.
Which one do we have a problem with? Is it Ellie?
No, Kaylee. Haley.
Oh, right.
Her name's Haley, the mechanic.
Oh, wowzers. So she's doing a Joker impression.
Yeah.
Talk about the makeup.
Do you want to know how I got these scars? Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'll be doing. I'll be buying ready-made sculpts and then perhaps doctoring them a little bit if there's any parts of the sculpt I don't like her face.
Cool. Sweet. So yeah, that's alright. So how are you going to weapon them? Are you just going to cut them off at the...
Yeah, well, the weapons that I've given them, obviously I'll try as best I can to either get them onto their hands, depending on what their poses are, or there'll be weapons that are slung over shoulders. Pistols I'm not that bothered about because they're always considered to be sort of in a pocket or in a holster or something, aren't they? But any standout weapons like Mal with his sword, I'll actually make sure he's got a sword clipped onto his belt. But yeah, other than that, the guns are the guns, and that's pretty much it, really.
Sweet. Hello.
Hello. Well, we all know our...
Oh, sorry, lost Michael for a second.
No, I just went very quiet. I had a little quiet moment. And we all know how Aaron's going to sculpt his gang, so over to you, Tom.
Okie dokie. So mine I've already bought a couple of models. So I bought the female dwarf from Atlantis Minis. So I'm going to 40k that up a bit, get some green stuff, cable maker action going, and cable it up a little bit. I've got a Dog the Bounty Hunter model from Rumble Slam. It was one of the wrestlers. Their scale was slightly too big. He was, from what they're, because it was weird, because with the way Rumble Slam seems to work is that the more powerful the figure is, the bigger the model. So there could be a really muscly guy in it, but he's still quite small, whereas the special characters are bigger. So like the more special a character is, the bigger it is. So the one I bought was quite a special character, so he was fairly large, so I had to cut his legs off where his ankles were and shorten that down, and then cut his body and shorten that down as well, and then green stuff in the gaps. So I've still got to do a bit of work on the chains, and also his where he was wearing a bandana, it was really high, so I trimmed that off and just made green stuff hair into the top of that as well. So I've definitely shrunk him down to the right size now, and his proportions still look fine. So he's got some bare arms, so I'm going to get a melter gun on one and either holster a bolt pistol and have him holding a stave, or the vice versa, holster the stave and hold the bolt pistol. But either way, he's going to look pretty badass. I think I'm going to check if the Scion kit comes with a melter gun and see if I can get that worked out and get that on there. But he's going to have to really essentially have bare arms, because the whole body, he's got like a string, like he's got a tank toppy vest on, so I've got to work it out properly. Dwayne Lee is going to be a Goliath model, and I'm going to swap the rivet gun for the heavy flamer, I think, and then swap the head for a bearded guy. I think I might still have some Mad Robot bearded guy, so it's going to be like a slightly bulkier face, so just like a muscular head to go on the muscular body. But yeah, so that will essentially be, it'll be a Goliath, but with I've seen a few conversions where essentially all they've done is remove the rivet cannon but kept the handles, and essentially you can get any heavy weapon to kind of fit, essentially, because the back one kind of slots onto the back and the other one slots onto the top, so you can fairly easily attach most heavy weapons to that setup with a little bit of jiggling. Leland is going to be using I've got I won it in a competition, a plastic Vindicare Assassin. So I'm going to change the gun and make it a bit more like a long las gun. So I'm going to change the barrel at the very least, to make it a las gun barrel, and he's going to have a sight on it, so I can keep the sight on. I'm going to take his head, I'm going to get rid of the head because it makes it look a bit too streamlined, and I want it to be still like a Necromunda bounty hunter, not like a professional. So I'm going to swap the head for some sort of masked one, and then add a couple more cables to make it look a bit more run down, like he's using old breathing equipment and stuff. But that's going to be that. So he's going to be the one that's kind of resting against the wall, that new bounty hunter. Beth, you already know. I'm just going to do some weapon swaps and 40k her up a bit. Lisa's the only one that I'm going to try and work out. I think I'm just going to use one of my extra models, like the because I've still got loads left from where I didn't use many of them for the actual extra models. So I've got quite a lot of bodies that she can be, and they've got shotguns already, so that one will be a relatively easy one. If anything, I might just calm the hair down a little bit and give her just a more sensible haircut, so she looks a bit less Eschery and a bit more like this gang. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to actually make this gang 2, so I've already started 2 of the models, and the other ones are going to actually start happening. I'm just going to finish this terrain. So I've been, as you've seen from posts on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, I've been starting to finish off the MDF terrain. Now I'm now next to the airbrush. It's so easy just to come in here and just pick one colour and just batter through that colour through the whole lot, and then be done, and then that's only like half an hour. Whereas before I'd have to find time to go to the shed and then get everything out, and it was just a pain. Whereas now it's just here and it's all plugged in and I can just go.
You're in hobby heaven.
So I'm really happy with it, and just
But I hope
3 hours
you're
today.
cleaning your airbrush after every use, taking
I was
it
a good
apart.
boy.
Very good.
Well, at the moment, I just realised that I don't know where the tip is. I have taken it apart. I took the last bit apart and I've cleaned that out, and I don't know where I've put it.
I hope you're lubing it up before you put it back together as well.
Leaving it up?
Yeah, put a bit of super
lubing
lube
it
in.
up.
Yeah, you got to put a bit of super lube in it.
Well, at the moment I've still got my budget one, so I'm not taking as much care of that one. But I've taken as little care as to the point where I've lost the nib. So I'm going to have a little hunt round for that.
Walk around barefoot on your grey carpet and then you'll find it.
I'm just trying to remember where I've put it. I'll have to have a look. But yeah, so essentially my airbrush is actually out of action for the moment because I can't find the very front nozzle for it. But apart from that, the airbrush went really well. It's just I can't use it again, it looks like. We've gone... It's always handy to know when we've finished a segment when I go completely off topic.
Yeah.
So we're actually on the thank yous and goodbyes and discussing what we've seen on the Facebook page.
We kind of missed a step, really, because we've got games played to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, it's only a quick rapid fire thing. I actually got to play some Necromunda, which I'm absolutely well pleased about. It's been far too long since I've actually played. I popped round to go and see a friend a couple of days ago. This is actually after.
Friend.
This is after.
Friend.
Friend. Necromunda friend.
I know.
Necromunda friend.
Oh, bless. I didn't even have to pay him. That's the best part.
I don't even think Michael gets a reference.
Thanks. So what we've done, because we didn't have a huge amount of time and we're both rusty on the rules because we haven't played for ages, we've done one of the new missions from the Gang War 3 book, which is basically a rehash of the old shootout scenario, where you effectively set up 3 of the tiles from the box set in a line, and then you start within 10 inches of one end at each opposite end, and then you gradually shuffle towards each other, trying to not break your concentration or lose your cool, and then try not to be the person that draws the weapon first. And it was just really fun. I was playing a Goliath gang, so I was pretty much passing all my cool checks all the time because their cool value is so good. And then his gang had like cool values of 7 or 8, so he was failing. He was the one that was always breaking each time. So if I had a different gang, then it might have been a bit more of a fair fight. But it was just interesting where the gangs gradually shuffle towards each other. And then at some point or other it all goes off and everyone starts shooting at each other and fighting and everything else, so it just becomes like a regular game. But it's so easy to slot it into a campaign because it's quite a good one for generating reputation and generating some cash as well. So we've definitely been sort of slotting that one in, and it was so fast. We played 3 games and we was only playing for hour and a half I suppose. And we managed to play 3 games of it. So it's pretty good.
So it helps with progression and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. If you just want to have a game, it doesn't matter if your game's really penalised as well, because it's such a small model count. I think it's something like D3 plus 1 models. So the most you're going to have is 4. So even if you had like a starting gang of 8 models and you had a really bad couple of games and a couple of them have died, you're not going to be at much of a handicap if you was to do one of these shootout missions, because you've got less models to choose from. But yeah, it's real good fun. So that's games played.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry about jumping ahead so quickly.
That's quite alright. I had my moment in the spotlight.
Who won it though?
I think I won a couple and mate won one, I think. But,
how's he finding the game? Is he enjoying it?
Yeah, no, he's really enjoying, or certainly what we played the other day, he really liked. I think he was very similar to me in that the campaign that we tried to run, we was getting a little frustrated at how slow our games were progressing. But that's just simply because we're not playing enough games. You know, you need to play the games to build up the experience, to build up your stash, and so on and so forth. If you're not playing the games, it's not going to happen. So I think we've got a little bit of a workaround for that. I think we might end up just playing, rather than doing the campaign, we just do skirmish games, but set ourselves a higher starting value for your game when you create it, and allow you access to different bits of kit, so you have a bit more money, and also a smattering of extra skills. To say you can add D3 skills or something, and then just spread them around the game. Yeah. And that might get around it. It will just add a bit of variety for us in the games that we play when we do get together. But feel like we're getting to use some of the additional rules.
Nice. Good.
So that's it. Me done.
Yeah. Nice.
Who's getting text messages?
What's going on with Tom?
I don't know. He's redecorating.
Alright. What?
Now.
Are we filling in for him? Shall we?
No, I'm here.
Right,
I'm just trying to find the nozzle.
We go on to the next segment.
Yeah, why not?
Is all the thank yous.
Yeah.
So we'll get back. I'm going to be the voice of Tom.
Okay.
I'll be the voice of Tom. We'll be back. See you.
Okay, welcome back to the last bit. Aaron's involuntary laughter. It's time for the thank yous and the close and the Facebook discussion. So, Versatile Terrain is for providing the prize for the recent competition. The future prize, thank you for Promethean Forge. Michael will be sorting that out.
Yep, I need to
get that sorted.
I need to get all over that, and because now the other competition's finished, I can finally get round to fleshing out whatever the deal was going to be, and what the criteria is for the scenario creation. But I think Tom has expressed a desire to get his Venator Gang done, and I'm definitely going to do one. I think we should have a test run of my created zombie mission. I think that'll be a good one. Because have bounty hunters killing zombies.
That should be a film.
Yeah, you could probably do that, couldn't you? Quite easily.
Bounty hunters versus zombies. It could be on like a Sci-Fi Channel as a premiere exclusive. Straight to Sci-Fi.
Excellent, straight to TV. Yeah. Quality movie. Anyway, moving on, Tom.
So thank you to Mike again for the 3D terrain. That will be the next thing on my list straight after this MDF. And my airbrush, once I find the bloody nozzle, will be ready to go. So that will be the next thing I do. Next is what we've actually seen. So I'll go through the list of bits that I've seen, and then other people can tick the stuff off the list. Makes a nice change. So I've got Summit Guys for the supersized ogre slopper, which was pretty insane. Just massive, like here's your food, and you don't want to turn him down. So it looks awesome, and that was I think another Blood Bowl model, and the champion of the Moon Escher champion that he'd done as well. I think using I can't remember what model it was, but it was a Games Workshop model, but he's got the one with the huge hair coming off the back and everything. I'm not sure if you guys had seen it.
No, I haven't seen that one, but I also did see he's done another slopper, which is from a halfling model, and that looks like it's a Blood Bowl one as well. So he's done that one recently.
Nice little bit of Forge World. Sweet.
Yeah.
I've got Raman Nani's. I'm going to destroy people's surnames, I apologise. He's beginning to complete his GW terrain. You know, the guy who had got absolutely tons of GW terrain.
Yep.
They're starting to paint that all now. Then there's John Wyatt for his cardboard factory terrain, and he's now jammed them all together as one big base. And I wanted to play. I think he plays in Kent, so I'm gonna have to try and find an excuse to get down to Kent because the terrain looked awesome.
Yeah, it did look really good. It's coming together so nicely.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and it's all stuff he's made. It's awesome. I know I can draw stuff, but if I try and build it, it just falls apart. My graphics, it was always like, oh, your coursework's really good and your practical's really rubbish. Like, yeah. But the coursework was a higher percentage of my mark, so it's fine. Then there's Michael Green's masked Orlocks, so he's got like loads of the sort of Deathstroke masks. I can't remember what place he got it from, but basically all of his Orlocks have like face masks on instead. It makes them look really menacing. I've got Trevor Goddard's Venator Pirates, and the Obsidian Gates obviously still coming along.
Yep.
So they're awesome. Robin Skinner's Mega Driller Brute. Have you seen it? That huge
Mega
brute
Driller.
kit bash
No, I
thing
haven't
that he
seen that
made.
one. I'm going to have to search for
Oh
it.
man, it's awesome. If you search for Robin Skinner, you'll see it straight away. It's like absolutely huge
Right.
kind of brute with a driller on his fist.
I'm looking forward to
It's
it. Really.
awesome. Keith, the versatile terrain guy, he made his own Ogre Bounty Hunter.
Oh, it looks really cool. I like
Yeah,
it.
and it's
I like
and it's
that
got
a
the
lot.
personalised signs all around it, so
Yeah,
it look
I
really
like
cool. I've got Cy Davis has put his entry for the Jewel category, which was an Orlock in a boat fighting a giant
Yeah,
spider.
I saw that one.
It's taken from the Necromunda
Yeah.
book. It's really cool. Then I've got Volker Rocco for like the Corn Bloodbound model that has like buzzsaws as roller skates.
No, I've
Have
not
you
seen
seen
that
it?
one.
It's
No.
awesome. It's basically, you know, the model I've used where the guy's got the power hammer and the gore coming off it.
Yeah.
One of the Bloodbound models. He's got it kind of leaning forward with like an axe and stuff. He's taken the renderizer mask and used it as a skull face plate, like a lot of people have done for the head.
Yeah.
But on the feet, he's got two buzzsaw contraptions, so it
lovely.
looks like he's roller skating off
Oh,
buzzsaws.
brilliant.
Have you watched Big Hero 6?
No.
No. I've got that on Blu-ray somewhere.
There's a girl with two sort of wheels, one attached to each foot, that he uses like as a Segway sort of thing. And it looks like that, just more brutal. But it looks insane. If you look for Volker Rock, it's near the top of the Facebook page at the moment. And the last one I've got is Ian Logston's Nurgle Tech Thralls, which haven't been painted, but they've been built and they look awesome. Just a mad collection of Poxwalkers and like Admech parts and stuff, so it's
Nice.
really cool. But that's all of the stuff that
For
I've seen.
me, I've only, on top of that list that you've just run through, I've got two more to add. There's Martin Fishing, who's done a Prometheum Servitor. That's all painted up now by the looks of it,
Oh yeah,
and that looks really good. It's basically a little sort of buggy looking Servitor robot tracked thing using the Taurox tracks. So I'm definitely going to be
that's it.
Oh,
yeah,
I've
so I'm
seen
definitely
that,
going to
yeah.
be copying that. I think I said it before when he was actually building it just in the plastic, but now it's painted, it looks even better. And then
Yeah, it
the
does
last
look
one is Steve Uden. He was showing off some MDF terrain from War Games tournaments. There was the one that caught my eye was the church, because it looks like a typical or fairly typical British church. So I'll be using that for something like This Is Not a Test. So I'm going to see about purchasing one of those, I think.
Sweet,
And that's it, really.
Nice.
awesome.
I've been very low on internet
And
traffic the last couple of weeks. Just been a bit hectic and manic. So hopefully next week will be better.
And Aaron, have you seen any, or you just catching whatever we were looking at?
It's sleep.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. No, I'm here. No, I was just gonna say, you guys pretty much hit all of them. There's not one particular thing that I just want to say that there's a lot of brilliant stuff that's coming out. Everyone's kind of taking it their own sort of way. No one's sort of painted straight out the box. They've kind of added their own little bit of flavour, just made their gangs their own. It's just great to see, and it's good. It's inspirational as well. No, I haven't had
Yeah.
a chance to really have a look or do my stuff because I've been moving, but yeah, I always check the Facebook group, and yeah, there's some pretty.
I think
good
it'd be
stuff.
interesting to see what pops up on the Facebook groups and other stuff over the next month or so, because we've got a little bit of a lull in the release schedule now, haven't we? We've got a little bit of a break now before we're going to see anything Necromunda, because they're.
It's lucky that the Gang War 3
Yeah,
book
that's
is
right.
so full
Yeah,
that we've got stuff
that
to
really
talk
took me
about
by
for
surprise
ages.
when I've got that. But we've got Games Workshop is going to be focused on Age of Sigmar for the time being, and I think they've got some 40k releases in the offing soon as well. So I think Necromunda is going to go on the back burner for a little while until the next gang releases. So we've got a little bit of breathing space to try and catch up and do some hobby.
Sweet. It's Cawdor next, isn't it?
Yeah, Cawdor. So I'm reckon what? August?
Well, I hope so. Give us some time to talk about
September.
the stuff that we've got.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be the next one. And then, I don't know who's after that. Who's left?
You've got Dilac and you've got... Hang on, my brain's gone blank. We've got 4 now, so it's Dilac and the Cawdor. Hang on. Orlok, Goliath, Escher, Cawdor, Van Saar. My brain's gone blank.
Scabby's alright for their own little...
No, that's Outlanders. Damn it.
We've got Arbites, which are...
That's right, we've all lost the plot now because it's getting a bit late.
I think that's
I'm all a
it.
bit tired.
No, there's definitely 6. Necromunda.
Don't Google it. How embarrassing.
I'm doing it.
Aaron,
damn
edit
it.
this out.
Well, I'm
Don't let our listeners know
so...
how inept we are.
Right. I'm just doing it in the order that they came out in. So, Goliath and Escher, Orlok, Van Saar, Dilac, Cawdor and... Oh, okay, that is... Yeah, there we go. What I've been doing is saying in different orders each time, so that when... It always seems like I've missed one.
I think I know what the problem was. You got confused when you was counting through the gangs and you had to switch to your other hand.
Yeah.
Got to 5 and that's fine.
That is...
You chumps helping. I'll be too busy creating my own games anyway.
We're recording on Sunday at... It's past 10
I've got to be up in a minute for work.
Yeah, it's 20 to 11. Yeah, I'm up at 6.
Oh, I'll be on my 3rd cup of tea by then.
Bugger that. Right, let's sign off then. So apologies if there's any sound issues, but we're just getting on top of this at the moment.
We're working on it.
So we'll see. Yeah, so we'll get on top of this, and then hopefully next month it'll be as clear as the day that you were born, which makes no sense.
Clear as the driven snow.
I'm blaming the sound equipment. That's it. Okay, guys, have a good one, and we will see you in a month's time.
Bye now.
For the rest of Gang War 3. Bye. Bye. And that was the end of Chronicles from the Underhive, a Necromunda and Post Apocalyptic podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. All the things we talk about in this podcast can be found at the Chronicles from the Underhive Facebook group, where we'll post up links to all of the websites we discussed and the current projects we're working on. Come and join us and post up your Necromunda projects. We hope to see you there, and may you never roll a double on your gambling deck.